Your race, your race, your race has nothing to do with how well you're going to do at martial arts at all. Well, there could be some possible small, minuscule genetic benefit if you're practicing the art that was developed by your ancestors. But just because you are Chinese, Japanese, Korean, black, white, Mexican, Native American, that doesn't mean you're going to excel automatically at whatever art it is that comes from your race. Just like everybody from India is not going to be the next great yogi. It's just not going to happen like that. Now, what can come from birth is it's because of your family. As in because people in your family practice something a lot, you're in an environment to develop it. So if you came from a family of investment bankers, you're probably going to be a good investment banker because you're around it all the time and they're talking about it. I've seen generational doctors, people who are very athletic, sometimes have athletic children. People who are smart have smart children. So therefore, if you come from a family of people where martial arts is in your family, and one of your parents does it, and their parents did it, then if you do it, you're going to be great at it. Because you've been doing it from when you were little. It's about having time in. Look at Joe Jackson and Michael Jackson and the Jackson children. Joe Jackson was a music teacher. So he'd been working with the children since they were little. And Michael ended up being the most talented of all because when he came up, he was immersed in music. Same thing with the martial arts. If you're good at Chinese martial arts, it's probably because you come from a Chinese family that does Chinese martial arts all the time. If you're good at judo from when you're little, it's not because you might be Japanese. It's probably because your parents did judo or they put you in judo classes from when you were little. Same thing with Taekwondo. One of the best practitioners I've ever met in Taekwondo was Korean. But it wasn't because he was Korean. It's because his father is Korean and he's Korean and his father taught him from when he was little. And he still wasn't the most powerful martial artist I've ever met. I've met people who had actually surpassed his level, but may have started later in life. But they sank time into improving the skill. It wasn't because of their race. There are people that still think in 2013 that their race is going to make them better at a martial art. It's not. It's not your race per se. It's nurture versus and nature. It's your environment. If you're around it all the time and you're immersed in it all the time and you're practicing it all the time. You've been practicing a martial art ever since you could walk. They put you on the mat as soon as you learn how to stand, or they even had you crawling on the mat when you were a toddler and wrestling around with you. You're going to be a beast. When my daughter, I used to grab her feet and make her kick. I used to grab her feet and make her kick with her feet. So she got a black belt by the time she was 13. And I granted her full rank because she could actually handle an adult her size. Now, she's still not the best Taekwondo fighter in the world because she doesn't do it 24/7, but she's still good, though. She's still really good. Oh, boy. Some of the stories I've gotten from what she's done to people. Anyway, but that's because it's not because she's and you can't say that my daughter's good at Taekwondo because she's black. She's good at Taekwondo because her father trained her from when she was little. Race had nothing to do with it. Boy. I guess people, they want to feel because of what their race is, or, it falls into that category of what I call people want to feel special for nothing. So just because you're born in a particular race makes you special. No, it doesn't. You're not special because you're a particular race. If you want to say you're special because God made us all special, you get a thumbs up from me with that. But you're not special just because you're any race, even if you're in mine. You're not special because you're in my race. If you want to be special, you earn the right to be special by giving something special to the world. You're not going to automatically be good or have some kind of racial advantage just because you're a certain race. That's ridiculous. I don't even care if more people of your race tend to be good at something on average. That still doesn't mean that you're going to be an excellent at whatever that thing is because you're in that race. They say that black men jump high. I don't. I can jump, yeah, but I had to work at that, and I still can't dunk a basketball. But then again, I didn't invest the time to dunk a basketball. No, I didn't. I remember when guys were working on dunking, I worked on playing a musical instrument, and that's okay. It only became an issue when I wanted to learn how to do the jump split kick. So I had to go back, and it took me longer to learn it than what I've taught it to other people. But I know that they worked on the jumping exercises, and it transferred over into Taekwondo. So I had to go back. I had to remember all those jumping exercises that my brother told me to do when he was teaching me how to dunk, but I never really went through with it all the way. But I still remembered some sort of protocol. And I found I just had to keep practicing the technique and got to the point where I was no longer kicking two toddlers in the head. Now I'm kicking two grown men in the stomach with it, which is fine and makes it presentable. But you know, you're ridiculous if you think that just because you're a certain race that you're going to be good at a martial art, a certain martial art. That's crazy. But you know what? If you can make money convincing other people that you're going to be that you are better at a certain martial art or martial sport because you're a certain race, I can't necessarily knock that hustle. I don't think that your customers are crazy, but hey, you know, people get emotional and irrational when it comes to selecting martial arts and selecting martial arts clubs, and they join for billions of reasons. So, you know, I'll tell you one thing. I bet by me being black, a lot of people would probably assume that if they came to my school, they would learn how to spar really well. They would learn how to fight because, you know, those black people are such fighters. If you learn how to spar with me, it's because you do a lot of sparring. It's not because you're black or I'm black. It's not going to help you fight better. It is not. Being black is not going to make you a better tournament fighter. Being white is not going to make you better at forms of jiu-jitsu. Just because you're from Brazil, that doesn't mean you're going to automatically dominate people in Brazilian jiu-jitsu. If people in Brazil dominate people in Brazilian jiu-jitsu, it's probably because they practice a lot. And a lot, and a lot, and a lot, and a lot. If you don't believe me, there's a book called Talent is Overrated. Why don't you get that book and read it? So you'll learn that not only is talent overrated, but so is race. Your race is not going to make you good at any martial art just because you're in that race. What's going to make you good at a martial art is your own innate abilities, who trains you, and how often you practice, and how often you do your own research, and your health and physical abilities. Whatever combination of that you can do to make yourself better, that's what's going to make you good. So practice and don't be a racist.